Aloha! How's it? Today we're talking all about how your LinkedIn profile can create more opportunities for you in 2022, and more on that in a minute. So, how was your holiday weekend? If you celebrate this time of year, I hope you had a wonderful time with your friends, your family. We're still kind of on holiday. It's that kind of weird in between week, right? We're not that big on family holiday traditions. So we pretty much recreate the holiday to keep it simple with just some gift giving for the kids and lots of beach time. Our adult daughter came to visit us for a week, and it's been a lot of fun to reconnect with her after a couple of years and spend time with all of the kiddos together. But now it is time for Mondays with Mindy. This is a weekly show at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific, where I talk about all things LinkedIn pipeline, promo, and profiles, what I like to call the three P's of LinkedIn. So if you have LinkedIn questions that you want me to answer, be sure to like this post, whether you're watching live or from the replay. Leave your questions below and I'll answer them after the show or on a future episode of Mondays with Mindy. And let's get right to today's topic. How can your LinkedIn profile create more opportunity for you in the new year? Have you ever wondered what the secret to unlocking your next opportunity on LinkedIn actually is? Maybe you're trying to get on some new boards this year, or you're trying to get more conversations with your ideal prospects. You could be trying to become an influencer in your space so you can scale your impact and share your messages. And maybe 2022 is that year that you are going to actually land your dream job or make that career pivot. No matter what your professional goals are for 2022, each of them hinges on how you present yourself on your LinkedIn profile. So think of your profile as the face of your personal brand or your business on LinkedIn. When it's not aligned with your professional goals or your business objectives, you know it's high time for a refresh. And if you overlook your profile, you'll start losing credibility, you'll miss business opportunities, you could deter potential prospects, or you might not ever get noticed at all because people simply cannot find you. So, who else is ready to troubleshoot the most common trouble spots on the LinkedIn profile? I'm going to raise my hand because I am putting myself in the hot seat for today's session because my LinkedIn profile is actually well overdue for a refresh. And we're going to pinpoint exactly where I could improve my own profile today. So, for me, it really helps to see how other people approach theirs. So, I love it when I see other people hop into the hot seat and get coached or share something because it helps me learn. So today I really want to put you to put your hats on and learn from today's session and figure out some ways that you can improve your profile moving into the new year, even if it's just something really simple, something very small. All right. Aloha. For those who don't know me, my name is Mindy Rosser. I'm the founder of Mindy Rosser Marketing, and I have a group program called the LinkedIn Accelerator for those who want to go from 0 to 60 on LinkedIn with their profile and their network. I'll share the link at the end if you're interested and want to get on the January waitlist. It is right around the corner, and I'm really excited for this next cohort. We have a lot of people that are excited to join. I help superstars who feel they are the best kept secret in their industry to become that go to visible expert in their niche so they can get that next opportunity, grow their business, and scale their impact on LinkedIn. And in this live, we are going to talk about why your LinkedIn profile is causing you to miss new business opportunities and failing to attract your ideal prospects, and how you can optimize some very important sections on your profile so that you can be more profitable in 2022. That's what we're here to do. So, are you ready? Let's do this. Go ahead and like this post, whether you're live or watching from the replay, to give it some social love. All right. So, a huge mistake that many of us make is that we think once we've updated our LinkedIn profile once, we're done. Like we forget about it. We're like, oh, yeah, I did that. Oh, how long ago was that? So we don't revisit the profile. We did all the hard work. We think it's done. We think we're good for a while. We can just sit back on our laurels and expect the opportunities to roll in. Some expert gave us a few formulas that we use to update our LinkedIn profile, and that expert could have been me. We might have used those formulas to fix up some sections months or hopefully not years ago and haven't thought about our LinkedIn profile ever since. Or maybe we made a note on our someday maybe list to refresh our profile, but we just haven't gotten around to it because there are other priorities that seem more urgent or like they'll actually make us revenue faster. And really, how sexy is it to tell a colleague that you're going to refresh your LinkedIn profile this next quarter? I mean, you'll probably get a look that says it's about as exciting as cleaning out the microwave. But if you go and tell somebody, I'm going to do this 30 TikToks in 30 days challenge and maybe I'll go viral, yeah, they'll probably whip out their phone and show you some of their favorites, right? So you know exactly what I mean, especially if you're a visionary entrepreneur or an entrepreneur type who likes to always be thinking about the next big thing. Wasn't LinkedIn like the next big thing about 10 years ago? So LinkedIn just doesn't have that oh shiny feel to it. But you know what it does have? It has the staying power of a proven social platform where all of today's B2B companies, career professionals, and influential experts continue to make an impact and generate real business revenue. Okay, real revenue happens on LinkedIn. You don't have to spend hours a week choreographing reels. You don't have to dance to the tune of Island Boy with your own lyrics. You don't have to come up with a 3D GIF that's going to grab people and stop the scroll. You don't have to monitor trends that change faster than you can swipe. And it's where professionals go to have real conversations about doing real business together and closing real 6 or 7 figure deals. It happens all the time with those business leaders who actually invest in how their LinkedIn profile looks, and they pay very close attention to the details that matter and forget the rest. So there's no more getting caught up in this hype around all these social things that you have to do. It's really getting back to the LinkedIn business basics. All right, so LinkedIn, how I view it these days, it's like your business card. Remember those olden days? I don't know, like some years back, where we used to hand out business cards at events, and we aren't doing that anymore. We don't actually go to many real in person events, seminars, or workshops. Remember the people that had like the most memorable business card, like it had like 3D or it had a certain feel to it? Those people seem to be like the most professional. That's not how it is these days. Nowadays, people look you up on LinkedIn first and foremost. Before they do anything else, they are looking at you on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is your business card. So if what they find does not match their perception of you, maybe they came across you from a piece of content you shared, maybe you are on a podcast. Maybe you are selling an offer. Maybe somebody referred you. A colleague said, hey, you should check out so and so. They do really great work in this space. When they hit your LinkedIn profile, are you going to lose them? Because when people get a referral, even if it's a warm referral, they're still going to look you up on LinkedIn. They still want to make sure you're a legit business person. And so, poof, just like that, you can lose business. And it really is that serious. And I've had some clients come to me and say, Mindy, I just got referred to this person. I don't know what the problem is, but I think they're seeing my LinkedIn profile and it really doesn't reflect what I do. It's like, okay, well, yeah, let's fix that. And wow, okay, all of a sudden, now all of these warm referrals that you were being sent, all of these people that you wanted to get into conversations with, you feel confident to get into conversations with them because your LinkedIn profile looks good, because your LinkedIn profile is accurate. People are paying attention. They're spending time on your profile. Your profile views are going up. So when people can easily find you, in less than 60 seconds can know what you're all about, and then make a determination that they want to start to get to know you, like you, and trust you, you're in. And you can do that in a very simple, straightforward way. It's called your LinkedIn profile. So your LinkedIn profile can do all of that hard work for you, but you need to realize the power of your LinkedIn profile. In many industries and professions, your profile is even more important than a website. So why is it that we'll shell out 5,000, 10,000 plus on a stagnant website to some branding firm and designer, and that website requires constant SEO work, Google Analytics, you got a blog to make it work, you have to add in all of these different plugins, blah, blah, blah. But we won't spend one single afternoon updating our LinkedIn profiles. Like, answer me that, right? It's like, okay, you're going to shell out all this money for a website that's going to be harder to find than your LinkedIn profile, which is already SEO optimized and doesn't take that long to update. So unless your website is your first and last name, when people look you up on Google, on Bing, wherever else they look you up, they are more likely to see your LinkedIn profile than anything else. Then they'll use your profile as a springboard to check out your website if they're still interested. So if you are serious about your business, if the future of your career matters to you, if you don't want to ever worry about losing your job, if you want to build a business that never runs out of new prospects or opportunities, your LinkedIn profile is where it all begins. That is the truth of it. All right, so I usually don't get this much on my high horse, but I'm very passionate about LinkedIn profiles, as you can see. And today I'm going to get personal. So I usually don't get this personal with my own branding, but I wholeheartedly admit that my LinkedIn profile is in need of a serious refresh. So I'm actually going to be going through the next cohort of the LinkedIn Accelerator, my group program, in January, along with my group members, because I need to practice what I preach. So you can join the next cohort if you want to see me get real with my own profile too. I'll share it at the end. Whenever I work with a new client or somebody who wants their profile refreshed or a new program member in the LinkedIn Accelerator, we always start with a LinkedIn profile review to go through like my first impressions in areas of most improvement. So we are going to dissect my own profile now. So I'm going to share my screen and you're going to see that up here. And then we'll do a recap with like 4 sections that you should really pay attention to if you are looking to optimize your profile. But first, let's dissect mine. All right, so here we are. I'm going to switch the camera angle. Okay, you should be able to see my screen. All right, and we're going to start at the top and just kind of work my way down. And if you've ever gotten a LinkedIn profile review from me, this is exactly how I do it. All right, so looking at the top, the Master LinkedIn Now Grow Your Business, that is a little bit outdated. I'm actually thinking about updating that section to make it a little more visual. I don't really like how the hair of this, this icon here is like right behind my headshot. It doesn't flow as well as it should. Yes, it does match my website. Yeah, that's kind of like the header that I have in other places, but it definitely needs to be updated, I think, to visually reflect who I am now. All right, so let's scroll down. My headshot could also be updated. If you see my hair now, I have dreadlocks. And so the dreadlocks, they completely change like every couple months because they're still kind of baby dreadlocks and still kind of messy and crazy. Eventually, I probably won't have to update my headshot all the time. But right now, I feel like the hair that I have here in the lighting is just not optimal. So I probably should get a new headshot done. Now, if you click on this, you will actually see my cover story. I'm not going to play it for you now. I feel like that's okay. I probably wouldn't change that at this point, but eventually I will. This audio introduction, also, if you clicked play, you would hear me giving like a quick elevator pitch about my services, what I talk about, and inviting people to connect with me. Looking here, I have played with my headline quite a bit. So with the social selling strategist, that tends to get people looking at my profile. I like the keywords social selling. I kind of like strategist, but I feel like strategist is really not the word. When I hear strategist, I think of somebody who's a little bit more of a consultant type, and I'm trying to move away from that. I'm getting more into the influencer space, into more like the group program space. So I think I need to play with that just a little bit. I like using the Mango way. That's definitely something that has become a bit more of my brand. I'm going to be starting a podcast in April called the Mango Effect Podcast. So I really want to keep that there, and I don't want to get rid of that. And it's a way that people can set me apart from other people in this space. This last part here is something I have struggled with, and something like if I was looking at someone else's profile, I would probably say, okay, what does this actually mean? Like creating effective thought leadership programs and building strategic sales pipelines. I'm like, okay, I get what the sales pipelines is. Strategic sales pipelines, like to me, that just doesn't have the effect and the power. And knowing what I know about my own business, I know that this is not exactly how I would characterize what I do these days. So this definitely needs to be updated. So you can see there are a lot of good keywords here, but it's like, it's not exactly on point and it definitely needs some work. All right, so moving down to the different hashtags. If you have LinkedIn creator mode, you will have these different hashtags here showing up. You get 5. So think about the 5 that you want to choose. I have a completely separate live stream just on the LinkedIn creator mode and hashtags. You can watch that if you want to go a little deeper, but basically I picked 5 that I feel like are pretty relevant to what I'm doing and what I want to be known for. So I'm pretty happy with these. I want to change those. Then looking at contact info, looking here, I can see that I'm like, okay, I have some stuff. I want to show you a couple of things, especially if you are trying to use LinkedIn to grow your list. Something that can be good under your websites is to put a link to like a freebie or some way for them to opt into your mailing list. This is like a really cool little tip. If you are a consultant and you like to sell like coaching packages, you could also put something here to schedule a strategy session with you. So those are a couple little ideas. I'm pretty happy with what's here. I don't think I want to change anything. Scrolling down, providing services. this is an optional section. If you want people to be able to find you and know that they can hire you, it's kind of nice to have this here. If I was seriously trying to like if I was more of a consultant type and I wasn't doing as much group stuff, I would flesh this out a lot more. I would pay a lot more attention to this section. But because that is not really like the backbone of my business at this point, I'm not going to put as much thought and energy into it. But you have 500 characters to work with here to give a little bit more about your services in particular. So if that is you, if you are looking for one-to-one conversations with your ideal prospects, flesh this out. It's really important. You probably have a lot of this already on your website, so you can repurpose copy in that way. All right, then let's go back. Here we go. All right. Okay, we'll close out of that one. All right, so let's scroll down a little bit further. Analytics. This is really important. This does not exactly have to do with LinkedIn profile copy, but these are analytics that you're going to want to pay attention to, especially as you make changes to your profile. Are your profile views going up? Are your post views going up? Are your search appearances going up? If those things are going up or kind of maintaining, then your profile is probably pretty good. You may want to see those numbers higher depending on what your goals for LinkedIn are. Something just to kind of keep in the back of your mind. Scrolling down to the featured section. Featured section stuff, it didn't used to have like 1 month ago, 7 months ago, didn't used to have the time on there. So you could be a little bit more lax with what you put in this section. I feel like you could highlight or feature things that were from months ago. These days, though, you're going to want to keep this really fresh. So I would go through my featured section and probably switch out some things, freshen up some things, add different topics to this section that I feel like are more relevant, maybe even repost some content if I really wanted to feature it, but I wanted it to look a little more fresh. I feel like stuff from like 5 years ago, like that shouldn't be in my featured section. So I would probably remove that. Stuff from like a year ago is like, it's okay. But I think moving forward, I want this section to be really fresh and people to kind of understand what I'm doing now. Okay. So that's why we're doing the featured section. I usually like to have a mix of content like the videos, the articles, like if you are using LinkedIn articles or you have the newsletter feature turned on, it can be nice to feature those here as well and get people to join and read your content. All right, so looking activity, we're not going to worry about anything there. The about section. Yes, the about. So if you are new to LinkedIn, you may or may not have an about section. If a lot of people, what they will do is they'll kind of take their bio from elsewhere and put it in the about section. That's a good way to get started, but it's not where you want to end. So basically what we want to do in the about section is we want to tell our professional story. So mine here follows the formula that I do teach in the LinkedIn Accelerator program, which is like open with a question, kind of answer that question here. So we're kind of like opening with a question, answering that question, and then I kind of give a little bit of my, I guess my spiel on what I do and do not like about LinkedIn. And then I kind of talk about my expertise, what I'm passionate about, and then I end with like, let's connect. This section is definitely something that I wrote probably about 18 months ago, and I've made some minor changes here, but it definitely does not reflect how I approach what I'm doing now. So what needs to happen is a new story. And so what I would tell myself is, Mindy, you got to tell a new story here. This story fit 18 months ago when you were doing much more of the consultant work. But with what you're doing now and how you're scaling your impact and how you're helping people now, this needs to evolve. So that's something I just need to go back to the drawing board and follow my own formula and tell a better story here. But what I do like about it is that it does have a good number of keywords. So you want to think about the right keywords, like LinkedIn is important, prospects, sales, algorithms, homework, messages, communication. Like you want to think about having the right keywords in this section that people might be searching for. Okay. All right, moving on to experience. So once you get to the experience section, like I feel like the hard work should be done in the about section in this header. So if you're just getting started, you're like, what do I focus on first? Header area, and then your about section, and then you start thinking about your experiences, which are down here. So with the experiences, I have made a few changes here, but there are some programs that I am actually switching out and changing in 2022. So I am going to play with this media. I have some testimonials here. I like having video testimonials, and I feel like those are really helpful. And it kind of shows a little bit more about my group coaching work. And then I do have a new program that's coming out that will be added to this section. So I will do a little bit of work to make sure stuff is showing up in the right order. I don't like the order that it's in right now. I would probably put my my programs first, and then recommend putting the testimonials at the end. All right, and then moving on down, most of this is pretty straightforward. It's like the different companies that I've been involved in. Most of the older experiences you don't really have to worry too much about. It's nice to have like 2 to 3 lines or a high level overview. I was in this position for a while, so this one has a bit more content here than I would typically do. This one does as well. Like I left a lot of stuff in this, but I don't have a ton of work experiences. Most of what I've done has been entrepreneurial. So mine are a little bit longer than I would typically recommend for most experiences. All right, moving on to education. Alt MBA is here. It looks like one of my images is broken, so I should fix that because that doesn't look so good. With education, you can kind of list whatever you want here. I did not list my college education because it does not align with what I'm doing now. It was much more in a religious organization and affiliation, and I don't want that on my profile because I have moved away from that. So you can be creative with your education section as long as it makes sense to the type of career that you're in. Licenses, certifications, some of these are old. I probably would get rid of like the co-schedule and HubSpot ones. I feel like they don't really align with what I'm doing now. Volunteering, this I feel like is very important. You want to update this probably at least once a year, just to keep it fresh. And it's nice to have at least 1 or 2 volunteer roles that are current or pretty recent. So ideally, you want to have like a LinkedIn page that you can link to so these look good. Skills, I probably wouldn't change too much here. I'm pretty happy with what I have. I might reorder the skills, which I could do right here and like pin the top 3, like pin maybe 3 different ones to the top, but I feel like they're okay. So I'm not going to do too much there. Scrolling down to recommendations, how many I've received. I'm on track. I usually like to get 1 to 2 new recommendations every year or thereabouts. And I like to give about the same. Okay. Moving on to publications, a lot of these are old. So what I would do is I would definitely revisit these and probably remove stuff that is, 2017 feels like it's a little while ago, especially in blogging land. So I feel like some of this should be cleaned up and really focused on the content that I'm publishing now, and maybe even start listing like some places where I'm guesting, like guesting on a popular podcast or something like that. So I feel like this section could definitely be changed up. All right, so that's my review. I think in general, it just needs to be, I think, brought up to date. And some of the things in the way that LinkedIn lays out publications, lays out courses and projects and such, these have changed a lot since I updated my profile. So I think it's adjusting what I'm putting here based on the new format for LinkedIn. All right. So just kind of keep that in mind as you are working on your own profile, and hopefully you found that helpful. All right. So in conclusion, the 4 sections you really want to pay most attention to as you are working on updating your profile. If you're like, Mindy, that was a lot. Like, okay, let's start with number 1. Number 1 is your LinkedIn headline. This section must get across who you are, whom you help, how you help them, and the results that you generate. So 4 things. With 220 characters to work with in this section, you can get in a good number of keywords, along with getting across like your secret sauce and like what you're really known for. Okay. So that section should be the first one that you address. If you need help on that, I have a free PDF that I can send your way, the LinkedIn reboot guide. Just comment below or shoot me a DM and I'll send it your way. That will help you get started with nailing that headline and also getting some examples so you understand what that looks like. All right, so number 2 is going to be your LinkedIn header section. So we looked at mine and I brought up that my branding and stuff, and it's a little bit wonky. It could definitely be better, and it needs to tie together and really reflect where I am now. So I think with your LinkedIn header, make sure it's a visual reflection of your focus and what you're doing now. And sometimes you just need to make some minor tweaks. Sometimes when LinkedIn changes the way that your profile looks, it'll kind of skew the header image, or things won't be in this, they won't look exactly the same. So that's why it's good to look at your own profile every so often just to make sure things are looking good, especially when LinkedIn makes changes. All right, number 3, focus on your about section. So you want to start your about with an interesting 2 to 3 lines that speak to the problems of your target audience. So whoever you're trying to attract or get into conversations with on LinkedIn, it should speak to them. So sometimes people's audiences are going to be a little different, like from channel to channel. Like for instance, some people will have and serve B2B and B2C audiences. When they're on Instagram or Facebook, they will talk to their B2C audience. When they're on LinkedIn, they will talk to their B2B audience. So pick your primary audience who you're speaking to and really write your about section for them. You want to solve their problems. You want to answer their questions. You want people to feel like you are the go-to expert for whatever big problem that you solve for them in their business, in their career, at their company. This is really to get people to click to read your entire about section. So you have to make those first few lines like irresistibly enticing. So play with them until you get them just right. Then you want to showcase your expertise. People want to know how you got from there to here. You have to kind of explain that journey, do some name dropping if you've worked on interesting projects or with interesting clients. You have 2,600 characters to work with here. Use all of them or as many of them and pack this section full of your most important keywords. All right. And lastly, number 4, your LinkedIn experiences. So your experiences add that layer of credibility to your LinkedIn headline and to the story that you told in the about section. So you don't need to make these too wordy. Focus on that high level overview of each role to ensure people can quickly scan this section to understand what you're doing now and how your prior roles led to where you are today. So when we looked at mine were definitely too wordy. Like they need to be streamlined. We don't need all of that stuff there. People just need a high level overview of what I did in each of those roles. And you don't want to add old or irrelevant work experiences here if you can help it. Focus on the here and now. So if there are old ones and you're worried about, Mindy, but there's going to be a time gap. Well, it depends on how important that time gap is to your career, whether it even matters. A lot of times people don't really care on LinkedIn unless you're job seeking. Okay, so something to think about. All right, so in conclusion, creating more opportunity for yourself as the go-to expert in your niche all begins with your LinkedIn profile. Focus on addressing these 4 sections before you go into all the other extras that will make your profile shine. So we're going to nail our LinkedIn headline, pull together our branding in the header area, tell a great story in the about section, and then match our experiences to the story we told in the about. Okay, I know that was a lot for today. So what additional questions do you have about optimizing your profile on LinkedIn? All right, leave them below in the comments. Shoot me a private message if you want to do it behind closed doors. And I'm happy to answer them. And if you are looking for that extra edge to really get you started on the right path with LinkedIn to make 2022 your best year yet, get on the wait list for the LinkedIn Accelerator. Our next cohort is kicking off at the beginning of 2022, middle of January. And this program is tailored to take you through all of the sections on your LinkedIn profile. So we go a lot deeper and I give you like fill in the blanks, step-by-step formulas to take you through all those sections. So you're not like staring at blank pages like 2,600 characters in the about, what am I going to do? No, there's a formula for every single section and we do it together. So and the program is very short. It's 5 days flat, 1 week. You're off to the LinkedIn races. If you're interested, here's the link to get on the wait list, find out a few more details. And I will see you all. I guess this is our last one for 2021. I'll see you all in the new year on Mondays with Mindy. Feel free to leave questions or comments below, and my inbox is open if you want to message me directly. I will see you then. Happy New Year.